Ahoy, friends. It's me, Dave Landau. After a long night on stage, I like to kick back with a captain's hat and a fine cigar and watch the Dennis and Andy show. These guys are huge nerds, but they're the kind that you actually want to hang out with. Enjoy them. I do.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you? It is Wednesday afternoon, 5 p.m., and you know what that means. It is time for the Dennis and Andy Show, and we are here to entertain, to enlighten, to bring joy to the world. The Packers suck. Oh, wait, it's not football season yet. I'll save that for football season.
See how he preempts this? Man, this is going to be another rough season.
It is for the Packers.
We'll see.
Let's say hi to people in the chat. Randy Howe, of course, is here nice and early, as always.
And he's plugging all of those. Look at all the links he's got up already.
Oh, we're going to show them. Hail to you. We've got Bass Reeves. There's the link for that. That's because of our special guest, who we'll get to in a moment. We've got, of course, The Saints, which is the book we will be talking about with Mitch. Let's see what else we got here. Subscribe to Dennis's YouTube channel, the main DNA channel. Of course, there's my channel. Subscribe to that. Man, Randy, you are just kicking it. Look at this new campaign that launched today. Graham Nolan's Joe Frankenstein Part 2. Part 2. I've got, where is it? Right here. I've got Part 1, and I'm going to read it. So I have to sit on pins and needles until Part 2 comes out.
That's right. I did a quick flip on it already, so you guys can check out the channel and take that nice 60 seconds look through it. But man, it looks fantastic.
That's right. JP Roca, what's good? Amish Ninja in his house. Hello. And Marcus, hello.
And he's not driving. Whoa. He's actually sitting there listening to us for once instead of driving, almost getting in accidents.
That's right. That's what we like to hear. We hope everybody's doing well. That is correct. Our guest is Mitch Breitweiser of Allegiance Arts. I, of course, got Red Rooster 1 through 3, read those. I got Nora Saga. I got Bass Reeves. And as I told Mitch before the show, we both backed the Bass Reeves trade paperback because I like single issues, but I like trades as well. So I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. So, and you are too.
I know I am. And yes, I also picked those up. They were fantastic, and love to see this. So I had not met Mitch yet, so this will be my first meeting of him. So kind of fun. I've seen him on some of the other channels and when I was driving and stuff. So, but yeah, always love when I get to meet somebody brand new and learn their history.
Well, let's do it. And there he is. Hello, Mitch.
Just like that.
Hi, Andy. Hi, Dennis. Great to meet you, Dennis.
Yep, you too, Mitch. Great to meet you.
Mitch, I'm jealous of that finely coif you have going on.
Well, I got a haircut a couple days ago. And
now you're just rubbing it in that you can get haircuts and I can't.
It was kind of a special treat. Otherwise, it would be a total disaster. We moved from Little Rock, and the lady who cut my hair, who always did a wonderful job, is now 3 hours away. And so we were in town for my wife's birthday, and I guess got a couple's haircuts. So that was a birthday surprise.
Oh, nice. So she just had a birthday?
Yes, she did last weekend.
Oh, now the reason I'm asking, my daughter's birthday is May 5th. Is hers right around there? Or?
May 12th, but our
12th.
cat's birthday is May 5th. So she shares the spirit of Chumley.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Very
cool.
Their birth charts and just figure out how similar you or your daughter and my cat are.
Yeah, well, my daughter loves cats, so you never know. But Yeah, she turned 20, so in one more year on Cinco de Mayo, she could actually partake. But my daughter's pretty clean
Awesome.
cut in those regards, so I doubt she will.
Just pictures of margaritas all the way around, you know.
Wow.
But let's just kick it off the right way, Andy.
That's what I told her. I said, you gotta drink something at some point just to try it. What do you point to?
Brian Blevins is in the house, and he is very excited that we have Mitch on.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
He's
Brian's
not busting my
great
balls
guy.
for once. That's nice. Thank you, Brian. Usually he's all about.
Well, it's early.
That's true. There's lots of time. All right, let me see. Just trying to download something here for later.
So yeah, we got a few more guys hopping on. So guys, as we're going to start cranking this up now. So Christina Lynn, hello, thank you for joining. So Mitch, one of the things, especially you're new to our channel, and some of our guests may know you, other ones may not. So the beginning of the origins, what got you interested in comics? Were you a kid, and what was your first book?
I was definitely a kid, and sort of the path there was, pretty simple. I liked to draw and write, before I knew what a comic book was. It was just something I was picking up naturally and seemed to excel at and get some encouragement around both those things. And then, around 11 or 12, I think, I guess they probably realized I was probably going to just do something artistic or something like that with my life and not be a doctor or a lawyer. Poor mom. So my dad started bringing home some comic books around that age. That was around the death of Superman storylines.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Were hot in the news, and I think I was probably like 12 or so at the time. If you want to, that dates me a little bit. So he bought.
Wow, no. You make us feel old.
I was about to
You're
say.
At least a decade younger.
Yeah, that doesn't date you at all. Death of Superman. I think that was 94. Death of Superman was
a little bit. It had to be a little bit before then.
91. I was thinking it was 91.
No, because I was already living in Florida, and maybe 92.
Well, you know what? We will get corrected.
Oh, actually,
Our
no.
chat
I know
will tell us.
No, I know when it was. It was 92 because last year in 2022 they did their 30th anniversary thing, reprinting it and stuff. So it was 92.
I know because I was still in college because I was trying to get my book from the local shop up there, and they only received 10 out of their 155 that they had ordered.
Wow. You have a cracked memory, I'd say.
I do.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's cool. I started in the business in 91, so.
Oh, wow. So that's our trajectories aren't similar. I was discovering comic books in 91. So
there you go.
Where I was. My first ones were some of the Death of Superman books, and then my favorite of the batch that came home first were Rick Leonardi's Spider-Man 2099 books.
Oh, yeah.
I just, lost it over. And that's really that I credit that book for giving me that sort of moment of inspiration or hooking me, I suppose, as to like, oh, wow, someone applies, they learn to draw and learn to write. And here's a thing that you get to do both with, right? And there's, you produced this wonderful result that's, delighted me as a kid and still does today. That
was, I really, really like Al Williamson's inks over Rick. I thought they were just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered Rick on Cloak and Dagger in the 80s, and that was inked by Terry Austin, who, Terry's just a fantastic inker and just really, really made Rick shine. But I like what Al does just as an artist himself,
Of
but
course.
when he would ink somebody, it was just gorgeous. So
yeah, and I became a huge fan of his later in life, like in my 20s. More, than younger. He was just the guy that inked the book, and I didn't realize the depth of his expertise and level of craftsmanship until much later. But he's definitely an inspiration of mine. That's cool.
You can kind of see it because your work has, I like to think, a classic style.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, not really striving for that necessarily, but
Well, it just shows that, your influences and what basically as artists, we suck in all these influences and
Absolutely.
then it comes out on the paper.
Vomit them all back out at the audience. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what we do. But yeah, so for sure, that's very nice of you to say. I hope that some of that quality of line of his comes through. It certainly had like he was able to create a lot of life with his line. They're very delicate yet expressive, which is a difficult technique to master. Sometimes I'm a little harder on my brushes,
Yeah,
my lines a little bit, but he is sort of an ideal.
sure.
Yeah. So we know that was your first, foray into comic books.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite character or characters if it's a group?
I was hooked on Spider-Man 2099 for a while, so that one like really sticks with me. The costume design was just excellent. The world was so much fun, and as a kid at the right age, right, that one hits you. Also, around that time, I got into Wolverine books, which was sort of my second step. I was like, oh, okay, well, here's this other character that's it really kind of subverts expectations, and the creators were having so much fun with him at the time, and it communicated to me as a young person. I have a kind of a personal history with Captain America, who has always been a favorite of mine.
Same here. Yeah.
So it's not really as much as a kid, but in my early 20s, when I was really committing myself to pursue a career in comic books, and I was looking at guys like Steve Epting and his run on Captain America, which artistically was and story wise was just again, I think it was the right age, right place, right time, looking for the right inspiration, and that book really stuck with me, and that eventually led to my stint doing some Captain America books, which was really very rewarding.
So then, jumping ahead, how did you break in, and who did you? I think, was it Marvel you worked for first, or?
Yes. So the break-in story was, I'm here in Arkansas now, where I grew up, and I went to school here. But after school, I left for New York City area, where I knew the publishers were. Just stayed up there for about 5 years or so. Knocking on doors, going to conventions was the big thing I started doing right out of college. I spent all of senior year putting my portfolio together, thinking I was, I got this in the bag. I'll go and grab a job, and it may take a couple of years, but we'll get there. But
sure,
yes, yeah. My senior, in fact, my lovely parents bought me a one-way ticket to San Diego for my senior graduation gift from university.
Oh, that's cool.
And we rode back together. They drove out there and picked me up. So my graduation gift was going in and showing my portfolio around for the first time and getting some guidance, and that kicked off sort of first of a realization that I'm not there's 1 out of every 10 or 15 guys or gals are toting around that same black portfolio trying to get the same job I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
So it kind of cracked my skull open a little bit. So I dug in and worked harder. And after that, moved to the New York City area, staged for a number of years. Really started just doing anything I could to keep this, going to conventions essentially. And after a couple of years of that, I decided I'd start booking tables at conventions rather than standing in line, and maybe even make a little scratch on the side. So that was kind of the game changer for me, sort of taking charge of my career and my prospects and my identity as an artist at that stage. And then once I started doing that, people started coming to me and started developing relationships at the shows. Did all the ones that were, in that Northeast corridor, Pittsburgh, Philly, drove out to Chicago a few times, New York City, just anything that was around there. That was the process of sort of getting my work and my name out there and meeting editors, meeting other artists and peers and people that were also in my situation, building a peer group of people trying to get into the business, which was also extremely helpful for me. And I'd recommend that for anybody. You need to have compatriots in what you're doing, because it's not easy. So you need somebody to relate. Some of those guys are working today as artists too, so many of them. Breaking in was essentially, you guys know Sean Chin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Sean, he's probably your age or close to it.
Yeah.
I met Sean.
We worked at when Valiant Acclaim did the whole Rebirth thing in the mid '90s. We worked there together. He was on a different book. I was on XO. Was he doing Bloodshot? He might. Yeah. I think it was Bloodshot. But yeah, I know. Anyhow, yeah, I know Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sean, I got to know Sean when I was touring around the conventions, and he lived in Chelsea at the time, and he had kind of taken me under his wing and introduced me to a few people, I had, trying to make a long story short, this dear sweet elder lady had rear-ended my car, and I got a check from the insurance company, and I was deciding whether or not to buy another car or buy a one-way ticket to New York City again, live for 6 months and try to give it one last go to make it into this business, because I'd been trying for a while and just spinning my wheels.
Sure.
So I moved to New York, packed a bag, and bought a drawing table when I got there in this tiny little converted hotel room into a apartment hotel room conversion, and drew my butt off. And every Friday, Sean, who lived in Chelsea, would skateboard up to turn his X-Men pages in by hand to editorial. So I would call Sean every Friday and be like, "Hey, Sean, are you going to turn your pages in at the Marvel office this Friday?" And I call him on Thursday. He'd say yes or no. And so every couple of weeks, I would meet Sean with a fresh batch of pages that I spent a week or two drawing. I'd meet him at the freight elevator, because this is just after 9/11, and you got to have the security now to get all the stuff. So he would sneak me in the freight elevator up to the editorial floor at Marvel and just be like, there you go, you're on your own. So I would have my photocopies ready, all in manila envelopes with my name, address, email, all that, and I just started working the editorial floor, getting to know all the editors, mostly assistant editors, and a lot of the guys that worked in the bullpen at the time. A lot of guys that are still working in comics today worked in that bullpen in the early 2000s. Like around 2004, 2003, 2004, 2005 is when I was doing this. Paul Azaceta, who's a very talented artist, was there working in the bullpen.
Oh, cool. Time. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was interning at Marvel. And so I got to know him there when we were very young. And then built a relationship with Andy Schmidt. Not Andy Smith, but Andy Schmidt, who was working under Tom Brevoort at the time. And I was 6 months into this process and running out of money. And Andy finally calls me and he says, "Well, there's a job, but it's a tryout job." So I said, "Yes." He said, "Just tell me what you want me to draw and I'll draw it." And so it's a thing called Drax the Destroyer. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know anything about Drax the Destroyer, but I want to draw the hell out of it.
Sure.
He said, "Well, we're thinking about doing this thing that's a little young, and it's a new take on Drax, and it's with Keith Giffen, and it's just going to be a little more wacky." And so I set about doing some drawings of a different kind of Drax, and gave them to Andy a few days later, and he sent them over to Keith, and Keith loved them, and I got the job. And then I spent the first week or day at Marvel actually go on the editorial floor with Andy, doing a whole bunch of designs for
cool
Drax the Destroyer, like basically kind of doing the whole look of him. And it turned out to be that's the appearance he mostly takes in the film franchises, which is super cool.
So I would assume after the first Guardians of the Galaxy, you got in the special thanks where they list all these creators. I would think. Were you there?
I have not gotten any. No, I have not gotten.
Really?
No way.
No, or well.
Oh, because I remember the Drax. I was actually going to bring up. I think that your first thing was Drax. I remember that. Was it like a 4-issue miniseries?
It was a 4-issue miniseries, and it was kind of like a lark, I think, where they were just letting us do whatever. And Keith, I think, had a ton of fun with it, and it was a really fun story to draw. One of the funnest, of the books I ever drew at Marvel.
Yeah.
And it ended up performing very well. And so I think based on the reception of Drax, which was kind of like a, let's just throw it against the wall and see what sticks kind of book, that, created the, kind of the start of the snowball that started the avalanche of the Marvel Universe books that came there around 2006 to 2012 or so.
That's cool.
It is.
Yeah, because I remember that, and that is when he was basically like in the movies, bald, obviously green, but had the red tattoos, not as extravagant as the movies, but shirtless, totally different from the whole cape and green and purple costume and all that stuff. I cannot believe that, because that was the first time he appeared like that, and you didn't get a special thanks. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Even the prison uniforms too were. I designed those that day.
Really?
The book opens in that prison. That was all from Drax. I think it was created whole cloth by Keith. Like the idea to start this prison ship of Drax. They do it a lot different there, but they definitely read our book and took inspiration from that, and as well as some of the aesthetics. So that was fun.
That's cool.
Wow. Well, if Marvel doesn't give you thanks, we do, because I actually loved all of those movies.
Yeah,
they were great.
And Keith's a good guy to work with. I worked with him a few times in the late 90s. Was he still doing his layouts for the writing, or was he actually typing out a script at this point?
He was typing. I got a written script.
Really? Yeah. Wow. I've never seen a written script from Keith. The few times I worked with him was from, his, what I'm talking about. You've seen his layouts before, right?
I don't know that I have had the pleasure necessarily. Oh. I mean, I did layouts for that entire book and sent them in and got them approved by Andy and Keith.
Oh, no, the way Keith
got
used
any
to
notes
write
back that were sketch notes, because that would be a real treasure.
Oh, no, the way Keith used to write, and this goes back into the original Justice League with Kevin Maguire in the late 80s, is he would draw. He would just do, on 8.5 by 11 paper, a breakdown for every page. Now, and Keith comes from a very Jack Kirby type school, so his pages were either 4-panel grids, 6-panel grids, 9-panel grids, basic stuff. And if you look at those original Justice Leagues by Kevin, you can see Kevin really stuck to that stuff. But when you worked with him, he was basically always like, this is just how I write. You don't have to do a 6-panel grid, for instance, if you want to change the size of the panels and all that, knock yourself out. This is just how I write. So when I worked with him on a 4-issue miniseries at Image, he has credit as Keith Giffen, but there might be 1 or 2 of the grids, because sometimes a 6-panel, 4-panel grid works great for the storytelling on that page. But, I come from the school of, different size panels for emphasis and things like that. I went to the Kubert school, and that's what Joe was all about, was, panel shape and design like that. So that's interesting that you didn't, Keith at that point was, writing, typing stuff out like most guys.
Very much so. I don't remember having any issues with the layouts either.
No, that's cool.
I draw more like you said, different panel sizes for,
I
think it adds to the emotional depths. But I understand, Keith, having now, had my hands in writing and creating a number of different books. I can see why he might like just do a 6-panel grid each time, because he's probably writing to just this cadence, this sort of music
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. And he knows, how to land the beats. It probably speeds it along quite a bit, makes it more efficient.
Well, I think one of the things I learned from it was, or one of the takeaways from working with him was, when I was working from a script, an actual typewritten script from a writer, and if I was having like just a problem laying out a page, it didn't matter if it was 5 panels, 4, 2, whatever, I would fall back on, okay, let me just do, say, a 6-panel grid and lay it out that way. So at least I know what the shots in each panel look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I have that down, I can go, okay, now I've got that. Let me decide what panel I want to make the biggest and the smallest and whatever, because you can always work those shots compositions into pretty much, any shape panel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things I took away from working with him that's helped me out. So
Very cool.
yeah, Keith's a great guy.
So how did all of this, you wound up doing that? How did this translate into where you're getting in with your new project now? How did this all come about?
Well, the Saints project that we are running on Indiegogo right now, which is Volume 2, we also have Volume 1 available. It's part of the Allegiance Arts publishing project that my wife and I started in 2018 after the success of the Red Rooster crowdfunding campaign. We found ourselves. I'll give you the shortest version possible because some of your readers may not know. Some of them may know very well. We launched after a number of years trying to figure out what we wanted to do with our creations, how to enter the comic book marketplace with our own content that we've been working on kind of behind the scenes for a number of years. We chose to do the crowdfund on the Red Rooster project, did very well with it, and we found ourselves within 3 months of launching that campaign, pitching Walmart on a small startup publishing venture that could launch for their books section.
Mm-hmm.
And then that the success of that pitch that we made at the time, which was like I said, 3 months after launching that campaign, led to the Allegiance Arts publishing brand, and then the Bass Reeves project, the Nora Saga project, and the Futurists project, which we're still going to run later this year. And then the 5th title that followed those 4 initial launch titles was The Saints. Originally, this was developed as something to follow into our Walmart book channel distribution, but that didn't play out exactly as we'd hoped. But nevertheless, we had created what was a very different from all the other ones, but also like our biggest sort of kind of blockbuster thriller style project.
Right.
And it's the pitch is essentially that you have this hero who's an archaeologist, not like an establishment archaeologist. So if you could picture if Indiana Jones and Jake Paul had a baby, it would be John Martin, which is our guy we feature here. He's like a pariah to the establishment, but also a successful author and a scientist of merit. But also like a playboy and a glory hound, and a little too flashy for the mainstream. But so what the story picks up, the setup essentially picks him up. This is Volume 1, so
Right.
We're selling Volume 2 here, but you can also get Volume 1 along with this campaign.
Right there.
If you're new to this, I recommend getting both of them so you can dive into the whole setup, which is a ton of fun with this character. The character was created by Patrick Stiles and myself a number of years ago, as well as the whole Saints book project concept. And then what we have in Jean-Marc is this kind of character who's on the cusp of the discovery of his life, which would not only make him extraordinarily wealthy, which he'd very much like to be, but also, world famous. But it would also sort of rewrite history as humanity understands it. And in the process of this discovery, he pisses off just the wrong organization, or the organization that would very much like to keep this a clandestine secret, and is willing to go to any lengths to do so. And so they essentially unravel his life. He becomes an international criminal, and everything he loved about his life, which was a lot. This is a guy with a massive ego, a lot to lose in some ways, but also a character that that needs growth, right? So he's been a blast to write. We have an awesome world that's been crafted by myself and Patrick and Mike Barron and Nick Mendelare. It's just been it's an archaeological murder. What do I call it? It's kind of a blend of a couple of different genres, but it's definitely an action, like a blockbuster action thriller.
Yeah.
And writing in this sandbox with the kinds of extreme characters that are involved in, clandestine operations like this. So Jean-Marc, when his life unravels, he's, basically falls into this organization called the Saints, which is the namesake of the book. And the Saints are a clandestine group of scientists and adventurers that have been protecting mankind sort of behind the scenes. And that is kind of where we go with volume 1. And volume 2 picks up with Jean-Marc going pretty far down the rabbit hole, but also every character that you have met in episode or volume 1, whose lives are impacted by LaPointe's discoveries or his truth-seeking. Their lives spiral out of control in the second volume, and we had a ton of fun writing the secondary characters like Rachel Brewer, who kind of is our she's may or may not be a former lover of LaPointe's, but is also an ally and a trusted ally, but his closest she's part of she's a university professor, right? So she's brought into this whole scheme, and then it follows some of the fallout for her involvement with LaPointe. One of the ways we like to approach both the writing and even the pitching on this story is it's like a multifaceted diamond in a lot of ways. Like as you move it around, like the lens on the first rabbit hole drop is LaPointe. You get to know this character who's in desperate need of change, who is the hero character, the protagonist, and is going to have the largest character arc. But as you spin the story around and explore this layered onion, this sort of mystery we're trying to unravel, or conspiracy, you spin it around and you'll find another facet, another character who is explores this mystery from a slightly different light or perspective. And that character then ricochets off the next character, and each one is sort of pulled into this thriller, this conspiracy thriller, in a very different way. And that's how the reader that's how the plot unfolds for the reader. So these different lenses of LaPointe, and then the secondary characters and the allies and enemies that you meet along the way.
Cool. I think visually it looks fantastic. The story seems really intriguing. I mean, what you just described would make a great either movie or miniseries for sure on like Netflix or something. The art is phenomenal. Did you want me to show the pages you sent over, or go through the campaign?
Yes, definitely. Pull up. Well, I want to make a case before we get too far in, because I've talked about this story, which we love a great deal. We spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of great craftsmen have worked on this book, story-wise. But I think Christian Rosado, I want to sing praises for just a bit. He's a phenomenal talent. The guy is drawing ink. He's doing amazing from layout to color. He's doing it all. He is so professional and so talented. We give him some pretty tight scripts, and the tighter and the better the script, it's like firing a howitzer. Like, you just build the machine, you light the fuse, and he just goes and it's on target and every time.
Nice.
So he's out of Peru. My wife Elizabeth found him through a talent rep and just showed his work to our team, and we're like, we just happened to be talking about greenlighting the Saints book, and I was like, okay, this guy, I think he can get it. And he started volume 1 is an extraordinary piece of work by Christian, but volume 2, just, he's completely taken his work to another level. He's gotten very comfortable in this world and with these characters, and also with the kind of story that we're trying to tell here. And he is very cinematic, high chiaroscuro, as you can see in these stills. So,
yeah, that's what I like about it. I love. Now, is he coloring this too, or is he just doing? He's doing it all.
He's doing it all.
Yes, and
yeah. I mean, this stuff, just his color style. It's not overdone. It's just hits on all the right places, and like you said, with the chiaroscuro, I can't pronounce it, style. I love it. I love this type of stuff, and I think part of it for me is because I don't do it, and I'm really am attracted to the type of work, whether it's really cartoony or stuff like this, that because it's just not what I usually do.
And I know you've got a video. Do you want us to show the video?
Yeah, there's more amazing art in the video, so let's see that.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Hold on here, let me get it up. All right, I'm going to do that. Hopefully there's sound. Your sound, Mitch? That is freaking cool.
Did you guys do the video yourself in house, or do you have somebody who does them?
Uh-oh. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, I did the video just
Damn,
on my
nice.
phone app. Yeah, it was super easy.
Did you really? You did that on your phone app?
I did it on my phone. Yes, through kind of a Mosho, I think is the name now.
Awesome.
Not giving my secret away.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it did not take me very long. Maybe 6 hours total, doing a little bit of editing and making it, polished, using a couple different apps or whatever. But it turned out really great. And if your viewers saw it in the video, if you're not impressed with Christian's work, which I can't be, and the fact that you're getting a really incredible story with this book, it is complete and ready to print. Which
yes, I saw that.
That's awesome.
In the above video. So this book is completely lettered and ready to go. Letters by Eric Weathers. So the quality.
So is the art done digitally, I'm assuming, especially living in Peru? Yeah, I figured.
Yes. Yeah, and it's sometimes hard to tell. He's gotten better and better at making it look more traditional, but
yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell because it looks, somebody in the chat mentioned it kind of reminds me of Jean-Paul Leon, and it really does have that nice feel to it. So let's look at the tiers real quick. Then we'll go through those pages you sent, because Mitch sent over to us a bunch of pages that we're going to show. So this is a really nice basic campaign, which I like. So it's not like, it doesn't bog you down or anything. So basically, feature tier, $30, gets you volume 1 and volume 2.
And if you didn't get volume 1, obviously you just want to get volume 2. I mean, I think it looks fantastic, and you might as well get in the catch-up tier.
Yep. And then, of course, the next one is just volume 2, $15. There you go. Awesome. And signed. So there you go, $25 signed. And then that's it, because this other one is sold out.
What was the
Yeah.
other one?
Yeah.
That was the first printing. So we are officially sold out of the first printing.
So
Like a little stack of my own here, but I'm going to like gardening that. So
Okay, cool. And another nice thing too is, man, you're shipping in July. So basically when the campaign ends,
we're
it's
going
just
right
a little bit of time after that.
Yes.
Now I assume when the campaign ends, you're going to keep it in demand.
For a brief time.
Right.
I don't know exactly. So don't quote me on any of that. It'll probably stay in demand because we may order over, but we'll sort it out.
Sure.
It'll probably be open for a little while, but don't quote me on that.
No, that's okay. Let's look at, so here's some of the pages you sent. I don't know if you want to give a little, I don't know, talk about them, whatever.
I mean,
I'm seeing these for the first time too. So,
well, this is just, these are obviously, I think, some of the villains. Christian does a wonderful job in using both color and line and shape and texture to bring out the scene and the characters. So they're having a moody, smoky chat about murder. More than likely. I mean, what else?
Now, where does this story? I love this first panel.
Tokyo.
That must be an artist thing, just because of it's just a great way to do a city. Where does it take place?
So this is all over the globe. This is a globe adventure with global stakes, and that is part of the original intention of the project. We wanted to do something that really moved. So you'll notice in this story, nobody is sitting around eating McDonald's. If you're on a boat, you're on a plane. If you're sitting and talking, you're talking on a plane. It is, the characters move in every scene, maybe not every single scene, but it was really one of the core tenets of this project. And really kind of all of Allegiance books, I always want them to be moving, like really walking and talking, going somewhere. Everybody's got places to be. This is an adventure story. But the Saints really takes that up to another level, and it's every episode is named after a city or place that is featured in the book.
Cool.
Characters are at, and so we've got Kyoto and Kathmandu and Lima, which I think this episode is from. And,
cool.
Yeah.
Man,
so
this guy's stuff is really nice.
Yeah, that last page I really love. Just the framing on every single shot. It's a very complex scene. We had to walk this guy through a marketplace, and then you have this real payoff shot at the very end, and he was able to draw convincingly Rio de Janeiro, this marketplace that looks hectic and busy, but look, I mean, you're still able to focus on that character. He's eating the apple. There's depth and busyness that's convincing, but clarity in the characters, and that is not an easy achievement.
No, and his color choices and his color style is just great. You really, everything separates really well. The focus is where it needs to be. And one of the things I love is, and what is it? Panel 3, where the guy's eating an apple in the foreground. Everything's there, but this is what I was saying when we were off camera. I like the looseness of things where the background is really just indicated, but it's indicated just enough. It's not overdone, and it's not like I could have used a little more. I mean, it's really right on the money with the amount that of detail he's putting in to give a nice impression of what's going on.
Agreed.
I don't even want to know what that is, so don't tell me. I want to read it and find out.
You will have to buy the book.
Yeah. I already backed it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Look at that.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is all in Kathmandu from...
Okay. Wow. I don't even want to ask, but I'm going to. Do you know how old this guy is that draws it, your artist?
I think I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's got to be in his probably early 30s, maybe late 20s.
Oh, I'm gonna
Early.
root for early 30s.
Yeah.
I'd want to break his hand if he was in his late 20s.
If I had to bet, I think he's in his early 30s.
All right. I hope he's in his early 30s.
Well, I don't want you to break his hand because I like this stuff.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just like blown away by it. I really like this stuff. Oh, damn. Look at this. Wow. Dude, this is really cool. So do you have a plan for a volume 3 after this, or you do? Okay.
It's already half done.
Oh, is it really?
It's fully written. It's fully written and half illustrated. Yeah.
You are trucking.
So then let's see, Randy says you can still get a copy of Kelsey's Norse Saga. Yep, there it is. So check out that link right there.
Yes, you can. Thank you, Randy.
Kelsey's a fan. I mean, everybody watching this knows Kelsey and Dave. Those guys are just freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, so then what is your next, because I know you have a lot of properties we were talking about. So when this campaign ends, what's your next one that you would put up? I'm going to assume it's not going right into volume 3 of this. It might be something else and then back to this, or.
Well, we're the Futurist title. That was the title that we launched in Walmart that was illustrated by Butch Geis. It is done. Elizabeth and I have to color the final episode of that, and then that volume, and then we'll have to send it off to letters. But then that volume will also be done. So once we have the Saints wrapped and fulfilled, and then we'll kind of clear our deck and then launch that one, give it all our attention. And then once the Futurist is done, we'll do Saints Volume 3.
Oh, cool.
One of the things we're trying to do is do little shorter volumes and turn them out a little quicker. So that's in the spirit of, the Saints is really kind of in the spirit of that, with the book being done and the next one being half done, and maybe in like 3 or 4 more months we can get the next volume into people's hands, and then just keep that wheel rolling. For myself, I am anxious to turn my attention back to Red Rooster. So
yeah,
I'm trying to clear some of the stuff out of my way so I can give that more attention.
That would be cool, not to get off the Saints, but I really like, Red Rooster is probably my favorite because I like superhero stuff. I like all genres, but I really do like superhero stuff. And I like the costume design for Red Rooster. It's very, I don't know, it's simple, which I think is cool. It's I like the team that surrounds him and stuff. I just thought it was great. I love this stuff. And I got to ask, speaking about Elizabeth, she's a fantastic colorist. I mean, there's not many couples in this industry that are both in this industry. Besides you and Elizabeth, I can think of Terry and Rachel Dotson.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know of anybody else.
Off the top. I know there are others. Off the top of my head, no.
How'd you guys meet? And
it's we met. I just started working for Marvel, so I was drawing Drax, and she was at university at my alma mater, and so with my first check from my Drax money, or my second check, I bought my first computer, and this was in like 2005, and 2005. So I got my first computer and then signed up for MySpace.
Oh yeah,
so
I remember that.
Yes, and so she was an art student at my former university, and I took a chance and wrote her a message, and she emailed me back, and we started a correspondence. Then I moved back to Arkansas from New York a few months.
So wait, you connected with her at first on MySpace?
Yes.
Oh, really? Wow, that's cool.
One that turned out. Love to hear
it. Not only that, but just the fact that it's somebody that is attending the school you went to, which means I assume she's from Arkansas too, or?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's 5 years younger than me, but we grew up maybe 45 minutes. Our towns were 45 minutes apart.
Really? That's it? Well, that's, if you were going to say, and we grew up 5 miles apart. I'd be
Yes.
like, holy crap.
The corner.
45 is a good distance. So that, that's good.
Yeah.
But we never knew each other until New York.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. Almost just like that.
Well, that's really cool. So does she do any other, type of art as well besides color? Like,
Well, when we were dating and in our early years of marriage, she was painting,
yeah.
kind of out of college, and she was teaching art as well. She taught art at a junior high and high school for a couple of years.
Wow.
And that was before she dove into Marvel. So as of right now, no, she's actually taken on, she's doing some pages for Lee Weeks on his
cool.
Lois and Clark backup stories in Action Comics. I believe that's where they're appearing. So
Yeah.
if you want to see her current work and over the Great Lee Weeks, which I, of course, recommend everyone doing, because he's a great talent and a really, really great guy. So she's doing that with Lee right now, and that looks phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And getting back to this stuff, man, this is so cinematic, the shots that he picks
Mm-hmm.
and things.
Leads your eye around, like you can't see my finger, or you know where I'm pointing. Kind of S thing where the
Yep. Oh yeah, no, totally. I mean, you can totally see that. I mean, that's what's cool about it with the horizontal panels when a page like this is leading the eye through it still, and he's doing such a great job.
No, this is a masterpiece of composition. This particular page, this is one of the ones I picked for you, but really every one of these pages I picked for that particular reason. He knows how to tell a comic book story. This is, and we found a guy who knows how to really work it. Like, it's very cinematic. And
what else has he done?
Best script that we could absolutely give him, and just let him go to town. We were his first introduction. It was us in heavy metal. So he had worked in advertising in Peru. He had done his own comic book with some friends, a couple of local published things. He had gotten into some storyboard art, and I think he's now getting a lot more of that work.
Cool.
So he had storyboarded some things. That's why I'm thinking he might still be in his 20s, or at least he was when we met him.
Yeah.
He's advertising his own comic book stuff, some storyboarding, and then we met him. And
wow.
I'm like,
Cool.
wow, just give this guy, like, let's build a vehicle for this amazing talent. Like, this is special. Christian is a very special talent.
That's cool. And I see, Butch's name now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Butch's contribution to this is the cover? Or
The cover, yeah.
The cover.
No, just this the cover, which I felt like we're all very proud of it. I colored this cover. Butch gave us an astounding illustration, so I mentioned his name on this as much as possible after Christian, because he just did this beautiful, like, again, I got the black and white, and I was just blown away. I kind of had this Drew Struzman layout, thing to it, and so I did my best to complement that arrangement with a soft airbrush Struzman style coloring job over it.
Oh, no, it looks fantastic. I mean, I got to ask, how long, if you remember, because I'm sure it was a while ago, how long does it take for you to color something like that?
Probably a couple days.
Okay.
To really think it through, I get most of it done in like the first day.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a couple of sessions is kind of what I'm thinking about. Like, a day for me is really like, how long can I really sit in front of a computer and work today? So maybe
now with the amount of
10 hours.
The amount of color, no pun intended, that's in it, because it's not really a traditional, what people think of when they think of comics, even computer colored comics. Do you do a color composition rough for yourself first, or do you just dive right into it?
I dive right into it. I don't, because it's either usually kind of tells you what it needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, like the explosion is not going to be blue.
Right.
So,
right.
But if I had more of a plan, my colors probably wouldn't be so everywhere. Like, I think I used every color. I invented new colors for this particular piece.
But I mean, it works. It looks really cool.
So
Now, are you the type of guy? Go ahead?
Instead of planning through all the color palettes, because I like to have a little wiggle room on that, I spend my prep time on a piece like this in grayscale. So what I'll do is render in gray the basic stuff. You give it's a formal, give it form.
Yeah, you get the tonal range down.
Get it, not overdo it.
Yeah.
It's just like maybe 3 or 4 different tones. And keep it clean. And that gives me some things to hold on to as I start experimenting with the color process. So for me, color is more like, I put this here, is this going to work? And then I do a lot of playing at that stage to dial most of it in. And then, to be honest, half the work is in the grays. The rest of it is just like, it's like,
that's
like building a house. Like it takes forever to get the frame all up, and then it's just, everything else is just putting the kitchen sink in.
No, that makes total sense. I mean, you get your tones and your values down first, and then after that, it's almost like tinting in a way. You look at Adam Hughes these days, who does a lot of his covers with Copics, grayscale, and then scans them in, and then basically, I mean, it's harder than this. I'm making it sound simple, but basically, it's just tinting over for the color because all his tones are there. So I mean, that makes total sense because I mean, the old thing. I'm sure you heard it in school in art class, which is if you can take the piece you colored and convert it to grayscale and it works, then it works in color.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of stuff out there these days that if you convert it to grayscale, it's just a flat mess.
Flat, yeah.
You're like,
you need that height. You need some height. I call it high key lighting. It's not the right word, but like your whites need to be at a certain aperture.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Dude, that is this is a really good looking project. So
thank you. We did pull out all the stops. Everyone did an amazing job, including Kathleen, who helped design this campaign. And I think the book and the work and your comments speak for me and the campaign. So thank you.
Well, you're at 7702 now, awesome. So
thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep, the DNA bump kicked out again. So got a few more backers. Love to see it. And we will be leaving everything in the description down below. So a lot of you will watch these on either my channel or Andy's channel later. So the links will be, as always, right in there for you guys. You can click on Mitch's project and go right to it.
Yep. The links are in the description below. That is really cool. That is really cool. We what do we got here? We got 23 days left. So guys, if you're watching, definitely play the video, check out all the cool artwork, and back it. And like we said, the feature tier, $30, 2 books, volume 1 and volume 2, so you can play catch up. And do that if you're not familiar with it, for sure.
I think that's a steal, guys. That's the way to go if you didn't pick up the first issue.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah,
well, go ahead.
This is Christian, like you get Christian on the front end before he is famous.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you got to tie this guy down. Because I mean, like I said, the work is very. Oh, that's what it reminds me of too. Is David Mazzucchelli.
Mazzucchelli, Zaffino.
Yes, Zaffino. Yes. It is great. It's like you said. It's just cinematic. It's really perfect for this type of book.
It is.
Yeah, this was. I think I've said this somewhere else, but this was one where you this is the comic book moments on a creator side, the moments you live for, where you think you got something and it's going to kick in the script and you had so much fun getting it on paper and conceptualizing this scene, and then you give it to an artist like this, and he just elevates it just another level. So you're giving him work that you thought you were proud of, and getting back work that just knocks your socks off. So it's sort of like just reaching up and grabbing some stars and putting them in your pocket and returning to Earth. There were many moments in the creation of this work where it felt like, kind of grabbing some of the stars.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of moments I know I live for as a creator and as an artist. And this book has many of those. And I think as an end product, the resonance of those moments is certainly here in readers that appreciate great story, really high quality craftsmanship, and a good, like, not old fashioned. It's not old fashioned. It's just an adventure, a thrilling adventure with great characters.
Yeah.
Like what more could you ask for out of a comic book, really?
Yeah.
No. Looks great. Looking forward to it. I actually can't wait to read this.
I agree. And then before we go, guys, of course, we always have to talk about Kor-Drath, The Reckoning, the book that Dennis and I are doing. It is moving along nicely. We got actually more colored pages in this week. We're up to page 51 in colors. And we're actually, our letterer is right behind him. We're up to page 51 in lettering as well. In fact, during this, right before the stream, Steve sent us the latest batch of pages. So he is... he's kicking it on Kor-Drath. It's for those that might not know what it's about. It's basically a little bit of Conan, a little bit of Game of Thrones, a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons, all mixed up and poured out onto the page. Kor-Drath is out for blood as he and his sorceress girlfriend Adriana come back to the tribe, the Red Lines tribe that he belongs to, and find that everybody's been slaughtered by a legion of the undead. So Kor-Drath is out to solve the mystery of why his tribe was slaughtered, and more importantly, who was behind it. And you can read the first 8 pages here on the campaign. You can go to Kor-Drath.com. Links are all in the description below to read the first 11 pages. You can do a lot with Indiegogo, but at the same time, you don't want to throw so much on there. So that's why we have more pages on the website. And there's other stuff on the website as well to check out. Of course, we've got a few different covers. My main cover, which is colored by Dan Lawless, who did a beautiful job. The wraparound cover, which will not have a logo or anything, a nice virgin cover of a little Kor-Drath going into battle. And then black, white, and blood. So just a little bit of blood on that cover. And we cannot forget the Bud Root Lilith variant cover. Bud just did a fantastic job drawing Lilith, and Dan Lawless did a great job coloring it.
Great combo there, and that makes a great t-shirt.
It does. And we will get to that too. And of course, the Kor-Drath, The Reckoning homage cover to Conan #1 that I did. I've always loved that cover. And I always feel like I grew up in the wrong age of comics because I really love that period of comics and the way those covers and stuff were put together. So check this campaign out. You can read up on the characters. You can even get a hardcover oversized artist edition, which features all the interior art, all the covers, including Bud Root's Lilith cover and the cover that Bart Sears did for the game module in their black and white original art looking form. So it's like you're holding their original art if you get this hardcover book, which is also $65 on the campaign compared to $80 when the campaign is over. So save a little bit of money, get it now. And so Mitch, one of the things I do on all my books is I love those Hostess fruit pie ads and the parody ads that Marvel did back in the day. So in my previous books, I've always done one, and those were superhero because it was First Man. This, of course, is Kor-Drath. So Dennis came up with Nectar of the Tribes, and it's a parody ad featuring Axe Mead beer.
Yep, so. Looney Tunes parody. You guys, once you read it, you will love it. And I wound up incorporating a little bit of this even in the 5th edition module that you guys many of you are going to be picking up as well. So gotta love to tease, and there is definitely crossover between the game module and the comic book.
There you go. And of course, you get yourself the Kor-Drath t-shirt featuring my art, or the beautiful full color Lilith t-shirt, which is, I think, an 11 color print job to really pull together all the colors that Dan Lawless did over Bud. Get a beanie if your head gets cold. I had to throw that in. I'm bald. My head gets cold easy. It's a little chilly in here.
I feel bad for you.
I know you do. I know you're lying as well. And the stretch goals so far, everybody that backs the book gets the Kor-Drath 7x10 playable character card, so you can play him in the RPG game Dennis is writing. The Lilith, or the Adriana character card. The Shattered Reach map, also 7x10. The Lilith playable character card. And we're now marching towards 90,000 stretch goal of the Evil Necronite. His playable character card. And just so you guys know, we did run a Kickstarter campaign. So the actual total combined is right about $85,000. So we are closer to 90,000 than what it shows here.
Randy's right on top of it, as if on cue. 84,848 with 1,402 backers.
Look at
There
that.
you go, guys. We are just a little over 5,000 away from the next one. And once we get close to that, boy, do we got a great next one after that. The next stretch goal is going to blow your minds away.
Let's just say the next stretch goal, without giving too much away, possibly, or well, the 100,000 stretch goal would add pages to the book.
Special pages.
We'll just leave it at that. So there's that, guys. So check out Kor-Drath, check out The Saints Volume 2. Mitch, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Andy and Dennis, for having me on your
Yep,
program.
yeah, it was great to meet you.
It was
Yeah,
really
and hang back after the show's over. We do a little chat after.
Awesome.
We're going to end it now. Next week, Dennis is going to be out of town. He's got a trip he has to take. So I'm actually going to be next Wednesday at 5 p.m. on with Charlie's London and Kami Mark on their show that they do. I'll be guesting over there. So check that out. And then, of course, we'll be back the week after that with another guest. And yeah, thank you all for watching us, for joining us. And of course, thank you all for backing our projects.
Yep,
Because
it's great. We can't do this without you guys. All of us that are doing this, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. We thank you guys for everything that you do and the support. And I know some of you asked, I did get my my Phoenix and Jean Grey very large statue. I did do an entire video unboxing, putting it together. So you can go on to the DNA channel and check out the video and see what it looks like. I even show you what it looks like. I had to rework my shelving units and everything, but it's in there. It's fantastic. The best $1,000 sideshow statue I ever bought in my life. Oh, but it was worth it.
And Dennis, I just want to commend you because this statue weighs 44 pounds and it's actually at his house. It's upstairs. So I commend him because every night he has to lug that downstairs so he can sleep next to it in bed. And then every morning he has to lug it back up and put it on the shelf. So,
and it's worth every lug.
wow. Gross. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Thank you all for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.